medical supervision at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Doctors are apparently very concerned about her health. In a statement provided by Buckingham Palace, quote, following further evaluation this morning, the Queen's doctors are concerned for Her Majesty's health and have recommended that she remain under medical supervision. The Queen remains comfortable and at Balmoral. Now, this is significant because Buckingham Palace is always very careful to downplay concerns about the Queen's health. This time, however, it does seem as though she is in very grave danger. In fact, all four of her children, Prince Charles, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward, are either with her right now or making their way to Scotland to be by her side. Prince William is traveling there as well. Harry and Meghan, the former senior royals, happen to be in the United Kingdom for a number of engagements. They, too, are rushing to be by the Queen's side, and that might be the biggest sign of all that it is unfortunately looking as though Queen Elizabeth II may not make it out of this latest health scare. And remember, there were mobility issues that have been really plaguing her for the better part of a year, including during her Diamond Jubilee, when she didn't appear at a whole lot of events because of those mobility issues. Now, just a couple of days ago, she did meet with Britain's new Prime Minister, Liz Truss. Remember, under a long-standing custom, the new Prime Minister has to go to the Queen and ask for permission to start a new government. That's what Truss did. Truss has, in fact, put out a statement. The whole country will be deeply concerned. The Archbishop of Canterbury, meanwhile, saying his prayers and the prayers of the people across the Church of England and the nation are with Her Majesty. The concerns about the Queen's health first emerged last October when she canceled a trip to Northern Ireland. Her mobility has prevented her attending some events this year, and she continues to use a walking stick. Meanwhile, another sign that this is a very serious situation for the Queen's health, the BBC One, has suspended all regular programming until 6 p.m. local time. It's now 3:08 p.m. in Great Britain. Sky News also doing the same. So we are going to continue to monitor this situation. And for those saying, well, what do I care about the Queen? She has been the Queen for longer than most people have been alive. This would be a significant historical event if and when she does pass. And given the fact that she's 96 years old, there is significant concern about that. Okay, so we are going to be following. Just want to keep you up to date. We will be, as events warrant, if it is a possibility that we do get word that the Queen has passed, or if her health takes a further slide and it's being reported that her death may be imminent. I don't want to sound too morbid here, but we will be dipping into news coverage from our partners at Fox News and also Sky News as well. All right. So that's sort of a backdrop for today's show. I don't want to open it with some downer news, but this is obviously the biggest news story in the world right now. We are, of course, going to cover all of the things that you expect here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Big ruling out of Waukesha County. Clerks may no longer cure absentee ballot certificates for the November election. That decision almost certainly is going to be appealed, but for right now, the concept of ballot curing is out. It's done. The law will finally, after 6 long years, again, be upheld. All right, if you'd like to join the program, 414-799-1130. That's our AccuNet Mortgage talk and text line. You can also reach us toll-free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Facebook. And you can watch the show streaming live on either social media site or on our YouTube channel. Just search Dan O'Donnell Show. You should see my smiling face. As the kids say, like and subscribe. Smash that like button and tell your friends to subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show YouTube channel. Just 2 more days in the iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest. Your second to last chance to win a trip for 2 to the festival, September 23rd and 24th. Is right now. Just text the word LUCKY, LUCKY, KY Lucky to 200. If your text is picked at random, you have won, dear sir or madam. A trip for two, including airfare, 2 nights hotel stay, ground transportation, tickets to both nights of the festival, plus a $1,000 gift card for you to spend on anything you like, including, it would be presumed, at the craps table. If you enter this contest, you will get a confirmation text and information. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. I want to take you back to August 2nd of 2018 and the gravest threat to a free and fair press that this world may have ever seen. Of course, it was President Donald Trump. The United Nations took the unprecedented step of issuing a joint statement between the Human Rights Council and the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, exhorting the president to stop with his attacks on journalists, as that might lead to violent retaliation against them. In that statement, 2 experts on freedom of expression, David Kaye and Edison Lanza, said these attacks, calling the press the enemy of the people, calling them fake news, run counter to the country's obligations to respect press freedom and international human rights law. Trump's attacks, they continued, are strategic, are designed to undermine confidence in reporting and raise doubts about verifiable facts, noting the president has failed to show even once that specific reporting has been driven by any untoward motivations. Now, you might recall that this was about a year before the Mueller report showed that every single bit of reporting that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to rig the 2016 election, something that is now considered, when you don't accept the results of an election, the domain of MAGA Republicans, who form a clear and present danger to democracy itself. But this was before that. No. There is no untoward motivations of journalists, and he is just putting their lives at risk by daring to criticize them. They conclude, we are especially concerned that these attacks increase the risk of journalists being targeted with violence. Trump's term ended January 20th, 2021. There was not in those 4 years a single documented instance of a journalist being attacked, being targeted, or anything else based on Trump's rhetoric. In fact, the worst that we could find was that CNN was super offended by a GIF some random dude made of Trump in a wrestling ring body slamming Vince McMahon with the CNN logo superimposed over his face. And this was supposed to be another example of Trump getting members of the press killed. Meanwhile, in Las Vegas, a Democrat elected official actually did kill a journalist. Clark County Public Administrator Robert Tellis has been arrested after an hours-long standoff at his home in the deadly stabbing of Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter Jeff German, after German's reporting on Tellis allegedly creating a hostile work environment in his public administrator's office led to Tellis finishing a distant third in a recent Democratic primary. Now, German's body was found Saturday near his home. He was found stabbed to death, and police immediately launched an investigation, but didn't initially focus on the possibility that it was German's reporting that might have been a motive behind his murder. It was thought that this was possibly a dispute between neighbors, maybe a robbery, something of that nature. It wasn't until yesterday, when police released surveillance video of the area, and they noticed a dark maroon SUV that Las Vegas Journal Review reporters noted is almost identical to one driven by Robert Tellis. Then the investigation focused on Tellis. German, it should be noted, is a Marquette University graduate. He was an intern at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel very early in his career in the 1970s, and then he moved out to Las Vegas and worked for the Review Journal for many, many years. So Gehrman is found dead on Saturday. Tellis is made the prime suspect in the investigation yesterday morning. About Tuesday afternoon, that's when investigators first started settling on him as the prime suspect. So they go to his house and they do a search. He comes home, and this is incredibly bizarre. He's wearing a white hazmat suit and sandals. It is completely unclear why, but he shows up at his garage, and a reporter for a local TV station is waiting for him, and she asks, "Did you do this murder, sir?" He says, "I have no comment," doesn't say anything, goes inside the house. His kids come home. Police allow them to go by a parent, and Tellis is holed up inside. After an hours-long standoff where police in tactical gear set up a command post, there are ambulances, fire engines at the scene. Finally, Tellis is arrested. He's loaded onto a stretcher, and he suffered what are being described as non-life-threatening self-inflicted knife wounds. Police believe that the motive in the case was Gehrman's reporting, which for several months focused on Tellis's allegedly corrupt and definitely troubled reign as public administrator. That this was seen as a revenge killing for costing Tellis his seat as public administrator. If you want to play a little game, I always love playing this game. Whenever there is a Democrat who gets in trouble, we're going to guess what paragraph it's mentioned in the story that he's a Democrat. I went to the website of KTNV-TV, which is the biggest news station out in Las Vegas. Never once is it mentioned that Robert Tellis is a Democrat. In the Associated Press story that is currently up in Milwaukee's newspaper of record's website, jsonline.com, it is not mentioned until the 7th paragraph that Tellis is a Democrat. And in the Las Vegas Review-Journal, right now, the paper where Jeff Gehrman worked, you do not learn that Robert Tellis, his alleged killer, is a Democrat until the 18th paragraph of the story. Now, it's not just Democrats themselves who are getting people killed. It is apparently Democrat policy. What do we always hear whenever Republicans do something? People will die. People will die if we don't act on climate change. People will die if we pass tax reform. People will die if we pass or if we get rid of net neutrality. This is what we hear. This is a common refrain from the left, that people will die. Well, in Memphis, it seems that people did die because of Democrat policies, specifically early release. Late last night, police in Memphis arrested a man who was just driving around the city at random, shooting at people. He killed 4 people and injured 3 others in an hours-long rampage. Memphis police spokeswoman Karen Rudolph said 19-year-old Ezekiel Kelly was taken into custody just after 9 p.m. Police, hours earlier, sent out an alert saying a man driving a light blue Infiniti was responsible for multiple shootings in the city. Police said he later switched vehicles to a gray Toyota SUV and actually streamed his crime spree live on Facebook. Now, a local reporter covering the crime spree was so visibly shaken during her live report that she could barely compose herself.
I know. Memphis is tired right now. Yeah, I'm good. I'm with you all. Memphis is tired right now. The Eliza Fletcher kidnapping and abduction and murder. The other crimes we've had this year leading up to this. It's difficult right now. Bear with me. It's a very nerve-wracking night.
She was referring, of course, to the kidnapping and murder of Eliza Fletcher. She's the kindergarten teacher who disappeared, and she was found dead a couple of days ago. A suspect is under arrest in connection with her death, who previously was convicted and actually served 20 years in prison for kidnapping someone else. Now, this guy, this 19-year-old Ezekiel Kelly, who drove around just killing people at random, just a real-life grand theft auto crime spree. According to court records, in 2020, when he was 17 years old, he was charged with attempted first-degree murder, reckless endangerment, and possession of a firearm with intent to commit a felony. Attempted murder. He pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of aggravated assault, and he was imprisoned for 3 years in June of 2021. He was already out of jail, serving only 11 months. He was released in March. So we went from a charge of attempted first-degree murder, reckless endangerment, possession of a firearm with intent to commit a felony, to a lesser charge of aggravated assault. He's still sentenced to 3 years in prison for this very serious crime, yet he's let out after 11 months. And in a pattern that we see repeated over and over again here in Milwaukee, in Memphis, he goes out and kills people. Which brings me to this story from our friends at WisconsinRightNow.com. Governor Evers' parole commission has released at least 884 convicted criminals, freeing them early on parole, mostly into Wisconsin communities, including, according to Wisconsin Right Now's analysis, more than 270 murderers and attempted murderers and more than 44 child rapists. Only 4 of them were paroled as compassionate releases, which generally means someone is dying and they're allowed to spend their final days free. In 27 cases, corrections records list no address for the parolees. That's a little unnerving. Some are double murderers. There is even a triple murderer among them. Even though they've only been out for 3 years at the most, 16 of those 270 have already reoffended or violated the terms of their parole. That, according to court records, including one man accused of strangulation. So over the next 2 months, Wisconsin Right Now has announced that it'll be naming names and profiling some of the most brutal killers and child rapists paroled by Governor Evers and Mandela Barnes. They're going to be running one story each day highlighting some of the serious crimes committed by people who are being released early. You might remember that in the summer, early in the summer, and actually about May, there was a whole lot of controversy that ultimately led Governor Evers to fire his parole board commissioner, John Tate, after the Douglas Balsavich fiasco. You might remember Balsavich, about 25 or so years ago, brutally murdered his wife in front of their 2 young children. And the judge in the case wrote a letter to a future parole board. This was when Wisconsin had parole. She wrote a letter to a future parole board and said, these crimes are so heinous that Balsavich is never to be let out early. He poses a clear and present danger to all those around him. He will kill again if he's let out. What does John Tate do? Lets him out. But because it's an election year, Governor Evers knows that there's a political liability here, so he demands Tate's resignation and Tate resigns. This has been an altogether too familiar pattern from Governor Evers, though, as Wisconsin Right Now is determined that there are literally hundreds of Douglas Balsaviches out there who have been released early. Now, that's no guarantee they're going to commit a heinous series of crimes like those in Memphis last night. But that terrorized the city. And we have seen over and over again crimes committed. Heck, we just saw one a couple of days ago, in which someone who was inexplicably let out after they were convicted of child sexual assault and then killed their estranged girlfriend. We've seen this in Milwaukee. We've seen this over and over again. Here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we document this routinely, sadly routinely. People are, in fact, dying. But not because of Donald Trump's rhetoric, but because of unhinged Democrats. And people are dying in Memphis because of Democrat policies. People, sadly, are dying here in Wisconsin as well. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back after this.
Get ready to win your way into our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival, September 23rd and 24th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Stream it free on the CW app and CWTV.com. Keep listening for the next chance to win your way and $1,000 spending cash. See you there.
iHeart and Capital One created a free iHeartRadio Music Festival NFT dropping September 19th for 72 hours. Capital One cardholders can get a special NFT unlocking a chance for a trip to next year's festival. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Capital One NFT for rules and details.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell for the Lynch family of dealerships. Lynch is looking to buy your used car now. Lynch will buy you out of your lease and will pay up to $2,500 over Kelley Blue Book value. Before you make your next car payment, before you make your next lease payment, stop by any of the Lynch family of dealerships in Kenosha, Burlington, Mukwonago, and West Bend, or go to shoplynch.com and click on the Sell Trade tab for an instant cash offer on your vehicle. All makes, all models, and remember, if you're over on your mileage, if you're afraid of excessive wear and tear, they'll purchase your leased vehicles and pay up to $2,500 more than Kelley Blue Book value. Even if you're not in the market to buy a car, Lynch is in the market to buy your car. Visit shoplynch.com.
At Bachman Pools and Spas, we have 25 hot tubs on display.
Several models available for immediate delivery.
For a limited time, all new hot spring spas come with a revolutionary freshwater salt system for free.
That's a $1,200 value.
You owe it to yourself to experience soft, natural, healthy water.
Hurry in to take advantage of special 0% interest for 60 months. Plus, get a free freshwater salt system.
Relax, it's Bachman's.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to adventknows.com.
The global economic group headed by China and Russia, called BRICS, is dedicated to challenging the dollar. This means the dollar will be further damaged, and along with it, the purchasing power of Americans. This is Stephen K. Bennett. I want to remind you that you can still protect your hard-earned savings from world events. How? By diversifying your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To claim your free info kit on gold IRAs, simply text the word PROTECT to 989898. It's critical you get this information before the dollar is further eroded and you lose even more of your hard-earned money. So text PROTECT to the number 989898. That's PROTECT to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation or purchase required. Take action today.
It's the Dan O'Donnell Show, classical conservatism, contemporary style. How much hand-wringing do you think there's going to be in the media today about Democrats who kill journalists? Zero? How much hand-wringing do you think Democrat policies are literally killing people in Memphis, Tennessee? Early release and that. I would highly recommend you to check out WisconsinRightNow.com. They are doing a 2-month-long series highlighting all of the killers that Governor Evers has let out of prison. His parole board it's made it its mission to let as many people out as possible. And don't forget, folks, the exact same sort of thing that led to the Memphis killer being released free just 11 months into a 3-year sentence is going on in Wisconsin. Governor Evers actually campaigned on the idea of reducing Wisconsin's prison population by half. that necessarily means throwing open the prison doors and just letting people walk on out in the name of social justice and equity. I want to remind you that the Dan O'Donnell cruise, if you haven't been listening the last couple of days, we are shipping off for Alaska in easily the most requested destination that Cruisin' Tour has. June 14th through the 24th, towering snow-capped peaks, soaring bald eagles, glaciers, unspoiled nature as far as the eye can see. Alaska is the final frontier, and the possibilities are endless on this 10-day, 11-night adventure. 11-day, 10-night adventure. You can do flight seeing, dog sledding, gold panning, fly fishing, river rafting, glacier viewing, salmon bakes. The choices are yours. We have got amazing ports that we're going to go into. Nature by day, luxury by night. The completely made over Celebrity Millennium will be her home. There are bars, lounges, Broadway style shows, even a world-class spa and fitness center. Plus, our friends at Cruisin' Tour managed to get us a premium beverage package, which means all your drinks are included. Free Wi-Fi, $150 per person shore excursion credit, and you could literally spend $0 on board the ship and still have a great time. We are going to just do it all, do as much as we can. We just got back from Ireland a couple of months ago, and someone just actually emailed me a few days ago saying how much fun they had and how they're looking forward to this Alaska cruise. And we know whether it's a trip to Ireland or an Alaskan cruise, planning a trip, especially for a family, if you're taking a bunch of people, it can be daunting. And that's why Cruisin' Tour takes care of all the details for you. They will plan everything. In fact, they have. And, all you basically need to do is show up. There are itineraries. There are optional day trips, and you go into the various port cities. And it's wonderful. I can't tell you how fun it is and how fulfilling it is to travel in a group, to travel with like-minded people who listen to this show. Most of them, almost all of them, in fact, are conservatives. We have great discussions about politics, about cultural issues, all of that. But mostly, we're there to have fun. And it's just a great group of people that we've got going. And we are anticipating that this trip is going to sell out very quickly. So you want to make sure you don't delay and you call Cruisin' Tour at 800-383-3131 or visit cruise-tour.com. Again, 800-383-3131. They've got staff standing by to take your call, answer your questions, take your bookings, or you can find out more, read all about the trip. We've got the entire itinerary posted, all of the details about the ship, details about some of those optional daytime excursions, all of it at cruise-tour.com. All right. We are continuing to follow the developing news. For those just joining us, Queen Elizabeth is, folks, this does not sound like it's your typical, well, she's taking a couple of days. Remember, during the Diamond Jubilee, there was some concern about whether or not she was feeling up to it. She just had some mobility issues. She couldn't stand at the balcony and take part in some of the big events. So she really limited her appearances. This does not seem like this is that. This does seem like, unfortunately, and I take no joy in reporting it, that this is the end. When you have all of her children rushing to be by her side, all of her grandchildren rushing to be by her side, and you've got the BBC, which does actually have sort of it's very different in Great Britain, as there is literally state-owned media, state-leased media, that they get a sort of a heads up as to whether or not this is a serious thing. In fact, there is a lengthy protocol. Go online, you can find some of the articles about all of the things that will happen when the Queen passes away, and the media is a big part of it. The BBC has suspended regular programming for hours and probably will throughout the night to provide continuing coverage of this. And this isn't just members of the media guessing or trying to go through sourced reporting. This is coming directly from Buckingham Palace. The thing that tipped it for me is Harry and Meghan, the renegade royals. Meghan is actually taking time away from complaining about how terrible her life is on her new podcast to actually go and be with the family. That tells me that this is serious enough that this couple, who wants apparently nothing to do with the rest of the royal family, is taking this seriously enough that they're heading to Balmoral Castle in Scotland to be at the Queen's side. So we will just provide you with any updates as they warrant. And coming up next, the shocking thing, man, Deadbeat Barnes said about business owners during the height of the lockdowns 2 years ago. Stay tuned.
Reach Dan anytime on the AccuNet Mortgage Talk and Text line
at 414-799-1130.
The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Dan O'Donnell for my great friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built Right's Labor Day sale is held over. Shop where the O'Donnell family shops 4 generations, 94 years strong. Now more than ever, it's the time to support Built Right Furniture, a locally and family-owned business since 1928. A holiday guarantee for you with an over 45,000 square foot showroom. You'll find thousands of items in stock or order select quick ship styles for guaranteed delivery by the holidays. Over 64 dining sets plus 35 Amish-made sets in stock. Over 50 styles of power lift recliners in stock. Over 30 styles of sleepers, sofas, and love seats, full and queen sizes in stock, and much, much more. Built Right always saves you money. Shop Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for personalized shopping. Call to book an appointment Sunday. Built Right is closed to be with family. So make sure to tell them Dan O'Donnell sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
The seasons may be ending, but let me guess, your joint pain isn't. Hey, it's Benjamin Yopp. I want you to call QC Kinetics right now. You've put it off long enough. Time to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulder, hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting breakthrough natural approach to eliminating joint pain. Lots of people here have done this, and they're living their life to the fullest, pain-free. Don't assume the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Call QC Kinetics today. Stop putting it off. Call for a free consultation. 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474.
All right, Seth, you ready to record this radio ad? Sure. All right, cue it up, Laura. In a world with runaway inflation. What? One company saves you big money.
Wait, hold on.
Super cool, right?
We want people to know they can trade in their AC and save thousands of dollars on a new one, right?
Yeah, Capital's helping you lock in prices now as inflation keeps soaring.
Because your money tomorrow will be worth less than it is today.
Even future inventory is uncertain.
So let's just tell them straight out how much we'll save them.
Up to almost $3,000 in rebates and incentives.
And we're giving you $400 capital cash.
If you buy a full system, AC and furnace, we'll also give you a $500 gas card to help you out even more.
What's more dramatic than that?
True.
Lock it in.
Yeah, lock it in.
Simple. Lock it in.
Okay, I'm just going to take them out. Call Capital Heating and Cooling today to lock in your savings or visit callcapitalcares.com.
Your home is the largest investment you'll make in a lifetime. But do you even know what it's really worth? Now, Ownerly.com gives you the information that real estate investors and professional agents don't want you to see. Knowing your home's worth helps you get the best value when selling and helps you manage it when not. Need a home valuation? Ownerly.com gives you 3, while the other guys only offer 1. It's time to take ownership of your home with Ownerly.com. That's OWNERLY.com. Ownerly.com. See what your home's worth.
Paid for by Ownerly.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-738-9900. That's 800-738-9900.
Wayne Larrabee and wife Julie love Pella's wide range of beautiful wood designs.
You match the craftsmanship of the woodwork around those windows to a T. That's a talented group of people doing that.
We like our wood tones, and so the ability to have wood tones some places and the white windows others allowed us to have exactly what we wanted.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, put no money down, no payment, and no interest for up to 24 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Expires 9/30/2022. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Spend your weekend with the Brewers starting Friday, September 9th. A 3-game series featuring the season's biggest giveaway on Sunday the 11th. A one-of-a-kind Brewers Giannis bobblehead. Get your seats at brewers.com/promotions.
If you're looking for the finest of furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Let Tri-County Contracting take care of the outside of your home so you don't have to. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows from Tri-County Contracting. Call us at 262-679-6100 or visit us online at tricountycontractingwi.com.
The Difference, a new and informative podcast series presented by Annex Wealth Management. Conversation and informed opinion with WISN's Dan O'Donnell and Dave Spotto of Annex Wealth Management. The Difference, available on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you find your favorite podcast.
A 49-year-old unidentified.
News never stops, and now you never have to take a break from the station that brings you the news. Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to any station, anytime, all for free. Want even more, but don't want to pay? Good. We've got that. Discover podcasts from your favorite radio hosts, podcasts that take you further into the story, podcasts that give you stories you never knew existed. Always free. Don't pay for the news you want and the stations you love. Download the free iHeartRadio app today. Available now in the App Store.
New York ends its subway mask mandate, and finally, after 2 long years, we are getting an admission that masks were always about virtue signaling. MSNBC's Morning Joe this morning, Mara Gay, who is a member of the New York Times editorial board and also an MSNBC contributor, said, yeah, you know what? This is really about wearing a mask is really about showing solidarity with those who have compromised immune systems or, rather bizarrely, come from marginalized communities.
Masking remains an act of solidarity and respect for vulnerable people. That includes people with disabilities, with chronic conditions like asthma, as well as for hard-hit communities like Native and Black communities, especially Hispanic communities that have been hit especially hard by this virus. So we need more urgency around treatment for long COVID. We need more urgency around respect for vulnerable communities. And it just doesn't cost me that much to put on a mask for someone else.
You know what's coming next, right? If you don't put on a mask, you are racist. Isn't that what we've been saying, though? This idea that you're doing this, it's a small thing that you can do to show someone else you care. That all of this was all about, it was sort of like the yellow AIDS ribbon years ago. Remember that famous episode of Seinfeld where everyone was telling Kramer, just put on the ribbon, just put on the ribbon, just wear the ribbon. Everybody's wearing the ribbon. You've got to show that you care. A couple of years ago, for many, many years, in fact, the NFL season returns tonight. Remember the NFL, they did the pink. I don't know if they still do that. I think they've moved away. No, I think they moved away from that, Dave. Dave thinks they still do. I think they've moved away from all of the pink during October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Everybody wore the pink cleats. Ultimately, it doesn't do a whole lot, but it shows you care. Study after study after study after study, we've outlined them all on this show, showed that masks do nothing. I call it the fart theory. If you're wearing a mask and you can still smell when someone farts, it means that, guess what? A virus can get in through the fibers of the mask. Don't just take my word for it. No less a figure than Dr. Anthony Fauci was telling us this, but I feel like this show was the only place where it was ever noticed. He's been telling us this since, quite literally, May 3rd, 2020. That, yeah, the mask might be effective, And remember in March, right when the pandemic started, he went on 60 Minutes and said people don't need to wear masks. Look, masks are not effective against an airborne virus like COVID-19. Even months before that, he was talking to Obama's Health and Human Services secretary, and she was going over to China, and she said, hey, should I be wearing a mask? And in an email that was later revealed via an open records request, Fauci said, no, you don't need to wear a mask. Masks don't work against viruses like this. He was saying this publicly, but on May 3rd, he said, look, the mask is a symbol. I wear it to show you I care about your health. You wear it to show me you care about my health.
I wear it for the reason that I believe it is effective. It's not 100% effective. I mean, it's sort of respect for another person and have that other person respect you. You wear a mask, they wear a mask, you protect each other. I mean, I do it when I'm in the public for the reasons that, A, I want to protect myself and protect others, and also because I want to make it be a symbol for people to see that that's the kind of thing you should be doing.
Aha! In other words, it was always a method of virtue signaling, and now liberals are just more open about it. In fact, the White House has come out and said, yeah, we actually think that this is a decision that should be left up to local authorities. We're not going to have any top-down guidance about mask wearing this fall, whether you need to wear a mask to protect yourself against COVID or the flu or monkeypox. It's weird how the draconian mandates over vaccines and masks, they sort of ease up when Democrats have a midterm to win, isn't it? Newly unearthed audio from Lieutenant Governor and Senate candidate Mandela Barnes from around the same time, May 2020, on the Real Talk with Henry Sanders podcast, shows the level of contempt that Barnes had for business owners who were terrified of the damage the lockdowns were doing to their business. You might recall that at this point, the lockdown was first issued in mid-March, the safer at home order that Governor Evers issued, and Republicans actually sued the governor to stop the extension of this emergency order, which was eventually lifted after the Supreme Court ruled in Republicans' favor in mid-May. There were actually protests that business owners and conservatives and people who wanted to go back to work, wanted to reopen the economy, that they took part in. And of course, they were told that this was dangerous. This was dangerous behavior. They're going to spread COVID-19 everywhere. Little did we know that the exact same media would not report in any of the same manner that they did on the social justice protests and riots that erupted following the death of George Floyd. Those didn't spread COVID-19. And we got that open letter from scientists saying, don't shut down protests citing COVID-19. But the anti-lockdown protests, those would spread COVID-19. Very, very smart virus to know the political ideology of those it was infecting. So Barnes goes on this podcast and says business owners need to stop being so selfish in wanting to, make a living and employ people.
I posted this on Twitter, or I reshared something on Twitter. I took a picture of protesters who was outside the governor's mansion, and it said, open my business. And then the store, and they had like a sign that says, my business matters. And like the most important thing about this whole scene is the word my. And that's what I've been saying all along, is a lot of too many people are, being selfish, where it's just my business, not your life, not my neighbor's life, but my business. And how are you going to help me, instead of thinking about the larger group?
It should be noted here that Mandela Barnes did not miss a single paycheck during the lockdown, nor did anyone in government. People who ran their own businesses, meanwhile, were left to depend on PPP loans, which, remember, they're now being attacked over by the Biden White House for not paying back or having those loans forgiven. Oh, you don't support student debt forgiveness? Guess what? You took PPP loans and had those forgiven. This is just unbelievable callousness by Mandela Barnes. So Barnes's administration shuts down businesses, physically prevents them from making a living, from feeding their families, and then has the audacity to say they're selfish. How dare they think of me, for wanting to go back to work, wanting to employ the very people who were struggling during the lockdowns. If ever there was a quote that perfectly encapsulated Democrats' mindsets during those lockdowns, it was that. Coming up next, we name the unhinged liberal of the day. Stay tuned. The Dan O'Donnell Show will be right back. The Dan O'Donnell cruise is going to the #1 requested destination, Alaska. Next June, we'll spend 2 nights in Anchorage and then cruise to Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, and Vancouver with stunning scenic cruising at Hubbard Glacier and the Inside Passage. Premium drinks, gourmet meals, gratuity, Wi-Fi, it's all included on the beautiful Celebrity Millennium. Get the details and join me at cruise-tour.com. Hey, Dan O'Donnell for the Lynch family of dealerships. Lynch is looking to buy your used car now. Lynch will buy you out of your lease and will pay up to $2,500 over Kelley Blue Book value. Before you make your next car payment, before you make your next lease payment, stop by any of the Lynch family of dealerships in Kenosha, Burlington, Mukwonago, and West Bend, or go to shoplynch.com and click on the Sell Trade tab for an instant cash offer on your vehicle. All makes, all models, and remember, if you're over on your mileage, if you're afraid of excessive wear and tear, they'll purchase your leased vehicles and pay up to $2,500 more than Kelley Blue Book value. Even if you're not in the market to buy a car, Lynch is in the market to buy your car. Visit shoplynch.com.
Hi, it's Jerry Bond. Looking for a safe and vibrant senior living community? Look no further than Clement Manor. The remodeled apartments give you the freedom to live life to the fullest while providing an unparalleled level of personal care. Residents can take advantage of the Independent Plus program for those who want a little extra help with meals, laundry, and housekeeping. There's a host of amenities, including restaurant-style dining, a bar, pool, and much more. Book a tour and see why Clement Manor got a 5 out of 5 rating from U.S. News and World Report. Details at clementmanor.com. Clement Manor, life enriched.
Today's Dan O'Donnell program is brought to you by Great Midwest Bank. Whether you're ready to buy, build, or renovate, Great Midwest Bank takes the stress out of paying for it. Get started today at greatmidwestbank.com.
What you're hearing are the sounds of horrific crime scenes in Wisconsin. And with violent crime rising in Wisconsin, the only thing keeping our families safe is a thin blue line. The police officers who put their lives on the line for us every day. But shockingly, Mandela Barnes says we need to defund the police and reallocate their budgets. Here's Barnes saying exactly that.
The minute you talk about reducing a police department's budget, then it's like all hell breaks loose, and everybody acts like you're signaling Armageddon. But that's not the case. It's about reallocating funds.
And where did your tax dollars get reallocated to? More police security for Barnes. Almost $600,000 of police security. Mandela Barnes. Less money for your safety. More for his. Paid for by Wisconsin Truth PAC and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. WisconsinTruthPAC.com. Wisconsin Truth PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Hi, this is Diane Chamness. Tune in to Business Solutions this Saturday as we discuss important and informative business topics and provide helpful information to businesses just like yours. Get great advice from local and regional experts on how to improve and grow your firm.
Listen for Business Solutions this Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m.
Fingers come in different sizes.
It's one of the first things you learn as a jeweler.
And a ring can only be sized up or down a little bit.
Which means it's a really good thing to know your ring size.
And it's an even better thing to know their ring size.
This is why we're announcing
the Ring Size Registry at Kessler's.
We're doing it as a public service. It's completely free.
Free? Isn't that a great price?
Here's how it works.
Just drop into any Kessler's Diamonds location and tell one of the owners that you'd like to know your ring size.
Kessler's is an employee-owned company, so whoever greets you at the door is an owner.
They'll determine your ring sizes and add them to our Ring Size Registry.
Then, when someone wants to know your ring size...
Because, maybe they want to surprise you.
All they have to do is call or stop into Kessler's.
Surprises can be fun, don't you think?
We're happy to do this for you, even if you don't buy a ring from us.
But after you take a look around, we think you probably will. Visit KesslersDiamonds.com for a location near you and register your ring sizes today.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-738-9900. That's 800-738-9900.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Mandela Barnes thinks you were selfish if you wanted your business to reopen during the lockdown. Newly unearthed audio from the Real Talk Henry Sanders podcast. We've got that up at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter. Credit to RNC Research, the research arm of the Republican National Committee, for finding that one. We go out to the phones and talk to one of those selfish business owners, Phil in Mequon. You're on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Little issue with what he said. It's not a matter of me being selfish just for me and my family, but I guess I'm selfish for my employees and their families, the supply chain and my suppliers and their families. It's not just me. It's everybody else down the line as well.
Exactly. And that's the point. And that's what someone who's never actually held a job in the private sector, never actually met a payroll, never signed the front of a check, doesn't understand. Look, folks, there's a reason that Mandela Barnes's ads introducing himself to Wisconsinites focused on what his father and mother did for a living and not what he did for a living, because his entire life has been spent in government or trying to get a government job, trying to be an elected official. He doesn't understand the private sector fundamentally. Does not. By the way, for those who missed the quote, here it is. Mandela Barnes, this is early May 2020, when he saw protests erupt over the lockdown, when it became clear, and this was the thing, it became clear very early on in this pandemic that it wasn't killing, the disease wasn't killing indiscriminately, and that public policy should have very obviously been focused on protecting the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. The rest of society, it probably behooved to not necessarily try to catch the disease, but to get a form of herd immunity that would be the best protection against further spread. This is what he said about business owners who wanted to reopen their businesses.
I posted this on Twitter, or I reshared something on Twitter. I took a picture of protesters who was outside the governor's mansion, and it said, "Open my business." And then the store, and they had like a sign that says, "My business matters." And like the most important thing about this whole scene is the word my. And that's what I've been saying all along, is a lot of too many people are being selfish, where it's just my business, not your life, not my neighbor's life, but my business. And how are you going to help me instead of thinking about the larger group?
Isn't that just classic liberal? You've got to think about the larger group. You are selfish to want to put food on your children's plates. That's right. Producer Dave reminds me of the infamous quote by Barack Obama: "If you've got a business, you didn't build that." Well, if you've got a business in 2020, you didn't shut that. Mandela and Tony Evers did. We'll be right back.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Absentee ballot rules defined again. Good morning, I'm Terry Bell on News Talk 1130 WISN. The Wisconsin Elections Commission is expected to appeal yesterday's ruling by a Waukesha County judge that letting local election officials fix mistakes and missing information on absentee ballot envelopes is illegal. The challenge was brought to court by the Waukesha County Republican Party and 3 voters. Doctors in Great Britain are concerned about Queen Elizabeth's health.
This is something we really haven't seen in a very long time in this country, a country on edge with this news about the ill health of the Queen, the beloved Queen Elizabeth II. She is up at Balmoral. That's her Scottish estate, and that's where we last saw her. In fact, she greeted the new incoming Prime Minister Liz Truss on Tuesday, but just yesterday she was forced to cancel a Zoom meeting with Truss and other government members, and that was an indication that there could be something wrong.
Fox's Greg Palkett in London. A suspect is in custody accused of going on a shooting spree around Memphis, Tennessee yesterday. Officials confirm 4 people are dead and 3 more are injured. Police say Ezekiel Kelly posted live videos of himself shooting people on social media. Police finally caught up with Kelly last night. The man convicted of murdering a Madison doctor and her husband in 2020 will spend the rest of his life in prison.
If taking my life is what it takes to repay them, to resolve the grievances of this beautiful family and define justice, I would be honored, Your Honor. Take it.
That's Kari Sanford at his sentencing yesterday. Checking the Drake and Associates sports scoreboard, the Brewers are back home for a doubleheader against San Francisco that starts later this afternoon. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Terry Bell.
The news is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is a great time to take advantage of Pella's wide range of beautiful wood designs that can be painted, stained, or unfinished to complement any decor. So maybe you have a room with white walls. Pella's expert installers will match it with the wood around the windows in that room, stain others to match the wood tones in another area of the house, and all with the superior craftsmanship that leaves no hassle or mess. Just perfect results that stand the test of time, and they have the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. I mentioned it's a great time to take advantage because Pella is currently offering this incredible special. Put no money down, make no payments, and be charged 0 interest for up to 24 months. You can't beat that, so get started today at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit them at their beautiful showroom in Brookfield and online at PellaWI.com.
Here's the Bryant Heating and Cooling forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Patchy morning fog and then sunshine and lots of it again today. High near 84, light breeze from the south and southwest. Staying clear in low 60s overnight tonight, then back to the mid 80s and sunny Friday. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by Master Spas.
Save big during Master Spa's Global Hot Tub and Swim Spa sale going on now. See why Master Spas is the largest domestic hot tub and swim spa manufacturer. There's never been a better time to save and just relax during the Master Spas Global Hot Tub and Swim Spa sale going on now through September 18th. Visit masterspas.com for more details.
If you're in the market for windows or a patio door, choose Infinity from Marvin Fiberglass Replacement Windows, installed by Callan's skilled craftsmen. Infinity Fiberglass windows and patio doors incorporate the details of traditional wood, but will not rot. Are 8 times stronger than vinyl. Combine easy cleaning features and effortless operation. Plus, allow more light into your home. Receive $200 off each installed Infinity from Marvin Fiberglass Replacement window and $500 off each installed patio door. Plus 18 months no interest financing. Experience indoor-outdoor living with a new patio door and have the peace of mind knowing that when you want spring air to freshen your home, your windows will open and stay open. Callan provides a worry-free experience, professional installation, and a built-for-life guarantee. Call Callan at 414-529-5509 or visit 8timesstronger.com for instant savings and no interest financing. Call Callan. Call Callan. We put the wow in home remodeling.
Hi, it's Jerry Bott. Looking for a safe and vibrant senior living community? Look no further than Clement Manor. The remodeled apartments give you the freedom to live life to the fullest while providing an unparalleled level of personal care. Residents can take advantage of the Independent Plus program for those who want a little extra help with meals, laundry, and housekeeping. There's a host of amenities, including restaurant-style dining, a bar, pool, and much more. Book a tour and see why Clement Manor got a 5 out of 5 rating from U.S. News and World Report. Details at clementmanor.com. Clement Manor, life enriched.
Fleet Farm is your automotive headquarters. Stop in and find everything you need to keep your vehicles running smoothly. From fluids to batteries, filters, parts, and more. If you're thinking about new tires, don't wait. Now is the time. Buy 3 Select Cooper tires and get the 4th free. And save even more at Fleet Farm. Sign up for Fleet Rewards and earn points every time you shop.
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number, and at Meijer, it's no different. This week, get more for your money with 7 for $7. No luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Once you buy 7 or more, you'll get each for only $1. From a pint of fresh blueberries to Meijer pretzels, puffs, or corn chips, and Meijer sandwich bags and vitamin water. There are so many ways to 7 for $7 at Meijer. And no matter how you shop, enjoy the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-738-9900. That's 800-738-9900.
The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know podcast delves into popular culture's most persistent mysteries. Now, there's something else that the guys at Stuff They Don't Want You to Know want you to know. They've got a new book coming out. Packed with illustrations, the Stuff They Don't Want You to Know book is written in the same smart conversational style you love hearing on the podcast. Available October 11th. Pre-order now at StuffYouShouldReadBooks.com or wherever you buy your books.
We are continuing to monitor the situation at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, where Queen Elizabeth II's royal family has rushed to be by her side. All of her children, her grandchildren, Princes William and, surprisingly, Harry, all there, as it does sound like the 96-year-old monarch may be dying. And we got a text on the AccuNet Mortgage Talk and text line, 414-799-1130, by the way, that when the Queen met to form a new government, Liz Truss, the new British Prime Minister who took over after the sudden resignation of Boris Johnson, met to ask the Queen. It's a formality over there. You have to ask the Queen for permission to form a new government. There were pictures that circulated that showed the Queen's hand, her right hand, was blue. That shows circulation issues, which could be a major heart problem. And this has led to widespread fears that this is, in fact, it. There were rumors about 20-30 minutes ago, unfounded, that the Queen has passed away. We will get an official announcement. There is all sorts of pageantry and tradition that goes along with the passing of a British monarch. And for those asking, why do we care? Why do I care about the British royal family? I agree. We fought a war here in the United States not to care. But this is a major historical event. It would be like the Pope passing away. It is a big deal, and we will, of course, provide coverage as events warrant. But don't worry, we have got a jam-packed final hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show coming up. The triumphant return of forgotten history. As I was busy with other things, we took a couple of week hiatus from our weekly look back at events in history that shape who we are today. You might not have heard about them in a history class, but you need to know them. There's been a lot of talk about Civil War. Civil War. There's another Civil War coming. In fact, Kathy Griffin yesterday said that if you don't want a Civil War, vote Democrat. If you do want a Civil War, vote Republican. I would love to see Kathy Griffin as the left's Robert E. Lee in a new Civil War in which their biggest state can barely keep its lights on. But did you know that 2 years after America's Civil War, there was a second Civil War? And it lasted a grand total of a couple of hours. We'll get to that coming up, but we didn't get to it at the end of the last hour, so let's name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
America is in over.
Now, I know. The obvious unhinged liberal of the day. It does not get more unhinged than Robert Tellis, the public administrator who killed, allegedly, an investigative journalist, a Marquette graduate by the name of Jeff Gehrman, who was writing critical stories about him. And Tellis blamed Gehrman for costing him a re-election. He finished third in the primary, the Democratic primary, for his seat. I've actually found Tellis's Twitter account, and he sounds like your standard issue liberal Democrat. So let's put that aside. Obviously, he's the most unhinged liberal probably of the year. Yet another liberal, it should be noted, committing acts of extreme violence, as the left says Republicans are the gravest threat. They promote political violence against their opponents. This, of course, comes just a couple of months after a psychopath went from California all the way to the Washington, D.C. suburbs and called 911 on himself in Brett Kavanaugh's neighborhood amid a plot to murder the Associate Justice because he was upset over the abortion ruling. Today's unhinged liberal of the day today, however, is Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former attorney turned very popular MSNBC talking head, who said, yes, Donald Trump is using those secret nuclear documents. By the way, did you notice how quickly is anybody talking about the nuke documents today? I'm starting to think that this might have not been the bombshell revelation that it was initially presented as. The Washington Post, oh, Trump had nuclear documents on the nuclear capabilities of other countries. Well, we didn't know the extent of what was it like a Wikipedia entry about the Iran nuclear program? Like, what are we talking about? Top secret. Anyway, Cohen said Trump was likely going to use those documents to extort whoever he needed to stay in power.
This is all about power for Donald Trump. This is all about him still remaining relevant and exerting the power, whether it's going to be over the United States as extortion, that in the event you indict me or even members of my family, though he doesn't particularly care much about them, if you indict me and try to impart...
Wait. Let's just interrupt real quick. I love how Cohen just threw in there. Yeah, he doesn't really care about members of his family. Ivanka, he put Ivanka in charge of his crime policy, for goodness sakes. Jared Kushner was practically running the White House for a couple of months. He doesn't care about his family. He just kind of tosses that in there.
I have nuclear secrets that I have instructed some of my followers to turn over to our adversaries. Right? That's what I believe. It's all about him maintaining power, but not just over this country, over foreign countries as well.
I just love how they alternate between Donald Trump is a criminal mastermind and Donald Trump is a moron who can barely tie his own shoes. Michael Cohen, your unhinged liberal of the day. There have been variations on this theme that Donald Trump is trying to save his own skin by, what's that? Yes, Bush. Yes, Dave. Bush was the exact same thing. Kind of. See, Cheney was the criminal mastermind. Bush was the moron. Donald Trump, they can't say Pence was the criminal mastermind because Pence is supposed to be the sort of Republican that we should all aspire to be, that he's daring to stand up against the evil semi-fascist Donald Trump. But no. It's that Trump, the variation on the theme. The theme is that Trump took all of these documents, these highly sensitive, highly secretive documents, to save his own skin as the walls close in around him. Now, if all of these documents are so secretive and they are so important to national security, and it would be so devastating if some random golfer at Mar-a-Lago happened to walk out with them, then why is it that the Biden administration waited a full year before the National Archives even started asking for these documents back? And then the Biden White House, as the midterm election season was first ramping up, decided, hey, you know what? We're going to send the FBI in. And then the FBI just happens to wait until exactly 90 days before the election to raid Mar-a-Lago to put this story into the public consciousness. And then we get leaks like this. Well, it's nuclear secrets. All this is a political persecution. I won't even call it it is so obvious, and the intelligence community has been running the exact same sort of operation against Trump since before he was even president. And wouldn't you know it, social media is also apparently doing the same thing. Big whoopsie from Snapchat. Snap Incorporated. It was, as reported by Axios, a slip-up by social media giant Snap allowed leading Democrat campaigns and party committees to unwittingly tap into a vast repository of Republican voter data to hone their midterm ads. Let me read this again and sort of highlight how this story is being framed. So, a slip-up by social media giant Snap allowed leading Democrat campaigns and party committees to unwittingly tap into a vast repository of Republican voter data to hone their midterm ads. A, you have to believe that it was just a slip-up by a left-leaning social media company whose allies are Democrats that allowed their allies, Democrats, to tap into voter data of their opponents, Republicans, and then you need to believe that Democrats unwittingly tapped into it. What's this? I just logged into my Snapchat. I was just trying to put a cat filter on my face. How did I get all of this voter data that my opponents spent months compiling? Axios goes on. The Snap snafu impacted data maintained by both Democrat and Republican data firms, records show, though its use by political groups was significantly more prolific on the Democratic. They are trying so hard to make this a both sides. It was just an honest mistake. Snap's political ad archive shows multiple Democrat and progressive organizations were able to target their ads on the platform using data maintained by the Republican-aligned firm i360. The data was used to target Snapchat ads by groups including the Democratic National Committee, the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, and Georgia Democrat Stacey Abrams' gubernatorial campaign. What are the odds that all of these Democrat and Democrat-aligned groups just happen to unwittingly access this data? It's so weird. There is no indication that any of the advertisers knew they were using i360 data or took any steps to exploit it beyond normal ad targeting decisions. That's right. They no idea. We just happen to have all of this information on Republican data. We don't know where it came from. We don't know how it got here. We don't even know that we're using it. Snap tells Axios an internal oversight allowed non-approved entities, including political and ideological adversaries, to use data from both companies to target their ads. That's i360 and its Democratic counterpart, Target Smart, which make data available to other advertisers on the platform, but limit availability to pre-approved lists of allied organizations. So what happened was the data was made available to liberal organizations. Just total snafu. Total snap. We have no idea how this happened. It's an oopsie. It just happened a couple of months before a critical midterm in which data is more important than ever. It's one of those things. Now, this all comes as there is an ongoing lawsuit by a couple of attorneys general, including Eric Schmidt of Missouri, who's running for Senate down there, that are requesting, and a federal judge actually granted their request for emails from the Biden administration to social media and from social media giants like Facebook and Twitter and Snap, targeting misinformation by Republicans on COVID-19. What the lawsuit is seeking to establish is that the White House was actually directing social media to censor stories. Now, you might remember a couple of weeks ago, and what I consider one of the biggest bombshell admissions of the entire Hunter Biden fiasco is that On the Joe Rogan podcast, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg said, yeah, the FBI went to us right before the Hunter Biden story, or right when the Hunter Biden story was dropping, just before the 2020 election, and said, hey, watch out. There's all sorts of Russian disinformation out there. And Rogan said, well, wait a minute. Did they warn you specifically about the Hunter Biden laptop story? And Zuckerberg, I think, caught himself and said, I don't remember so much if that was one of the stories that they were talking about. It very obviously was, because you might remember all of those 50 former defense and intelligence officials says the Russian disinformation. It's the laptop has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. Very obviously, the FBI contacting Facebook, contacting Twitter, saying suppress this story because it's Russian disinformation. It wasn't. The FBI knew it wasn't, but it harmed Joe Biden, the preferred presidential candidate. And as I have said, the real threat to democracy is a bureaucratic law enforcement intelligence deep state that is actively working intelligence operations on the American people in order to control the flow of information and actually influence presidential elections. Now, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, was asked about this. To what extent did the White House actually direct social media companies to suppress COVID, quote unquote, misinformation?
So I can't comment. You've asked me this question last week. I can't comment on any specifically ongoing litigation. And so, again, we would refer you to Department of Justice. A couple of things that I would say on just as a general matter on this. As we've said over and over again since the beginning of the administration in our battle against COVID-19, it has been critical for the American people to have access to factual, accurate, science-based information, and ensuring that any media platforms have access to latest information on a once-in-a-generation pandemic is something that has been done since the earliest days of the pandemic, beginning under the former president. So this has happened under the former president. I cannot say more from here. It is an ongoing litigation, as you know, and so I would refer you to the department.
That sure sounds like an admission, didn't it? Like she's saying, we need to make sure that all media has the correct information, i.e. the information that we determine to be correct, the information that, in other words, we approve. Then she transfers to, well, the Trump administration was doing it too. So this started during the Trump administration. Don't just lump us in. Don't just single us out. We're going to lump in the Trump administration with this as well. Folks, there is no bigger story. There is no bigger issue than if the government of the United States is actively working and actively pressuring media and social media companies to control the flow of information. That is, dare I say it, semi-fascist. Coming up next, the day-long Civil War, a forgotten history that you won't want to miss here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
More of The Dan O'Donnell Show. Next.
What if I told you that if your business has 5 or more employees, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of $26,000 per employee? Sound too good to be true? It's not. And it's not a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. The challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through the red tape and get your business that refund money? Just go to getrefunds.com. Their tax attorneys are specialists in this little-known payroll tax refund program. They do all the work with no charge up front and simply share a percentage of the cash that they get for you. The team at getrefunds.com has already returned over $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com, click on the Qualify Me tab, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund, though, is only available for a limited time, so don't miss out. Go to getrefunds.com. No risk, high reward. Getrefunds.com.
I'm Dan Small. Join me and Jeff Kelm for Outdoors Radio, Saturday mornings at 6 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Brought to you by the Range of Richfield, the ultimate shooting experience on Helson Drive in Richfield and online at therangewi.com.
The Difference, a new and informative podcast series presented by Annex Wealth Management. Conversation and informed opinion with WISN's Dan O'Donnell and Dave Spano of Annex Wealth Management. The Difference, available on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you find your favorite podcast.
Whether it's a complete kitchen or bath remodeling or replacement fixtures, the experts at S&K Remodeling can help you. Their designers have their fingers on the pulse of your dreams. Stop by the S&K working showroom and let the remodeling team show you ideas from ordinary to extraordinary. Call 262-782-7185 or visit SNKremodeling.com.
When it comes to remodeling, one call does it all. SNK Remodeling.
Attention all business owners who rent or lease space, including storage space. Stop wasting your money paying someone else for your space. You can now save a ton of money and own your own building with the incredible sale prices from General Steel. That's right, start saving money every month on renting space from others. Just call 888-74-STEEL to see how General Steel can help you save money. Our 50-year structural warranty buildings are custom designed for your needs and save you a ton of money. Call 888-74-STEEL.
Take it from a successful entrepreneur. If you need to expand or start a new business, you need General Steel.
Great team and the competitive pricing is the reason I went with General Steel.
Call 888-74-STEEL now, and you can get any of our popular quick construction structures, including a 40 by 60 foot building or a 50 by 100 clear span building fast and easy. Call 888-74-STEEL. That's 888-747-8335. 888-74-STEEL.
You love her twice as much today as the day you married her, right?
Welcome to Kessler's.
I'm
Conservative thought.
Not just talk.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we like to take some time to tell the stories of the red, the white, and the blue that you might not have heard in history class, but that shape who we are today. And with all sorts of talk about a new American Civil War, based not on geography, but ideology, we thought we'd highlight a Civil War that you might not heard of. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for Forgotten History. Are there any more American ideals than those of freedom and self-governance? We have fought, even armed revolutions for them. Sometimes even fighting against ourselves. This is the forgotten history of the day-long Civil War. The people of Van Zandt County were horrified. Word had just reached the tiny East Texas community that the state had seceded from the Union and was planning to join the Confederacy. Much of Van Zandt, as many as 350 people, met to protest the move and decided that something had to be done to keep the community in the United States. Van Zandt had no reason to leave. Slavery was so uncommon there that, according to one local legend, a man from out of state came through town looking for a place to keep his slaves for a short period of time. When he was asked later if Van Zandt was a good place for it, he replied, "Hell no. I had as soon think of taking them to a free state." The county saw this as a badge of honor and began calling itself the Free State of Van Zandt. The nickname proved appropriate. As the townspeople protested Texas's secession, they got an idea. If a state could just up and decide to leave America, then a county could certainly up and leave its state. They decided to secede from Texas. Once they began forming their own government, though, the state caught wind of their plans and threatened them with military intervention if they continued. The Free State of Van Zandt backed down, but its secessionist spirit still burned. In the summer of 1867, 2 years after the end of the Civil War, Reconstruction was in its rocky early days, and Texas fell under the military governorship of General Philip Henry Sheridan. His troops largely ignored tiny Van Zandt County, but its citizens still resented being occupied by Yankee forces. They again decided to secede, this time from both Texas and the United States. County leaders met in the courthouse in the town of Canton, elected delegates from across the region, and drafted a Declaration of Independence, which read in part, "Van Zandt henceforth will be a free and independent state and will be known as the Free State of Van Zandt." General Sheridan, not surprisingly, was not pleased. A battle-hardened commander who had led the cavalry corps of the Army of the Potomac that pursued Robert E. Lee and ultimately forced his surrender, Sheridan was not a man to be trifled with. And he was not one to put up with rebellious Texans, once saying of the state, "If I owned Texas and hell, I would rent Texas and live in hell." He dispatched troops to Van Zandt immediately. Unlike the county's last secession, however, the rebels refused to back down. They met in the Canton courthouse again and, perhaps mad with revolutionary fervor, declared war on the United States of America. Dozens of them ran from the meeting, grabbed shotguns, rifles, pistols, whatever arms they could find, and took up defensive positions at the outskirts of town to wait for Sheridan's troops to arrive. When they did, the townspeople shocked them. Shots rang out, and the Union soldiers, completely unprepared for an armed resistance, quickly retreated so that they could regroup and formulate a plan to safely put down this rebellion. The Van Zanters, meanwhile, were ecstatic. The Yankees had won. They really would remain a free state. More than 100 rebels celebrated at a local tavern all afternoon. They laughed and joked and told stories of their bravery during that morning's battle. Afternoon turned to evening, and evening turned to night, and the party kept going. What the Van Zanters didn't count on, though, were Sheridan's troops returning very quickly after their defeat. They used the cover of darkness to sneak back to the outskirts of town and, finding it undefended, rode right into the town square. There were the rebels, still in the tavern, half of them passed out, the other half barely sober enough to stand up. The soldiers quickly rounded them up and chained them to one another. The following morning, they made the rebels cut down trees and build a makeshift prison to house them until General Sheridan could decide what to do with them. One of those rebels, a former Confederate prisoner of war, had hidden a knife in his boot before he went off to fight the previous day, and he knew just what to do with it. For 2 days, he secretly sawed away at the chain connecting the men's shackles. Then a sudden and massive rainstorm gave them the opportunity they needed. The guards rushed inside to get out of the elements, and the rain loosened the wooden bars of their cell just enough for them to squeeze through. The prisoners made a break for it. Some fled to Louisiana, others to Arkansas, still others to Oklahoma, but arrest warrants were issued for all. None were ever served, however, and none of the men ever went to trial, as General Sheridan, it seemed, just wanted to put the whole embarrassing mess behind him. Most of the rebels eventually returned home, and even though their secession fails, their legacy lives on. Their county still calls itself the Free State of Van Zandt. O'Donnell here for the Fairways of Woodside, a fun, relaxing place to play golf and one of the absolute best courses you'll find anywhere. I love it because far from the stuffy, uptight atmosphere you'll find at other courses, the Fairways puts the emphasis on fun, enjoyment of the game with friends. So come out and escape for a round on their beautiful, perfectly manicured course. Book your tee time today at fairwaysofwoodside.com, and I'll see you on the fairways.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank. For many of us, there's always that one thing we're saving for. And if you're a homeowner, now's the time to use that equity. Set up a hassle-free home equity loan or line of credit with Great Midwest Bank to cover renovations, education costs, debt consolidation, or just as an emergency fund. You'll experience a state of tranquility when you discover how easy it is to help pay for your one thing. Find us at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Spend your weekend with the Brewers starting Friday, September 9th. A 3-game series featuring the season's biggest giveaway on Sunday the 11th. A one-of-a-kind Brewers Giannis bobblehead. Get your seats at brewers.com/promotions.
Jay Weber here. In today's fast-paced world, getting to the bottom of a problem cannot happen fast enough, especially when it involves your physical health. There's no time for pain or weakness. This is where Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin's Ortho ASAP clinics come to the rescue. If you're experiencing any sort of bone, joint, or muscle problem, walk right in and be seen by an orthopedic specialist trained specifically to treat these conditions. Their website is orthowisconsin.com. The Ortho ASAP clinics are located at both the Pewaukee and Brookfield Square locations and are a lower cost, higher quality alternative to the traditional emergency room or urgent care. You'll be sure to be seen by an experienced orthopedic specialist who's surrounded by a staff that is trained to provide you with the best possible care. Also, their Ortho ASAP clinics are housed where they have on-site x-ray, physical therapy, and MRI capabilities to help with your care all right there. You can learn more at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
We've seen it all and we've solved it all. At Alliance Tax Resolution Firm, it's our mission to help you find a resolution to your IRS and state tax debt problems. Do you owe more than $25,000 in tax debt to the IRS or state and wonder how you're ever going to get back on track? We're here to tell you that there is a solution, a resolution. Bank levies, wage garnishments, high stress, and tax penalties are just some of the ways that tax debt can affect your business and personal life every day. The good news is it doesn't have to be this way. We don't focus on the past. We work with you to fix your future. We've helped thousands of people just like you solve their personal or business tax problems, and we want to assure you that you don't have to face it alone. We've got your back. Call or visit us online to schedule a free consultation. At Alliance Tax Resolution Firm, we haven't met a tax problem we can't solve. It only takes one call to find relief. 262-786-4442 or AllianceTaxUSA.com.
Advent founder, Dr. Madan Kandula.
Breathing is central to sleep. Breathing is central to life, obviously. The thing that will ruin that sleep is if you can't breathe properly. You throw something into your breathing passageway and it's blocking up and the body doesn't like that and it fights against that. And instead of a time where you're resting and recovering, you're fighting. And you're fighting all night long. Your body's fighting all night long. And so what that means is day after day, night after night, you never get that rest that your body's looking for. Too many people suffer needlessly with issues that can be fixed nowadays. Too many people suffer needlessly because the system that they try to go to for help is broken. And so at Advent, because we focus on delivering solutions that people actually want, it opens the door for those folks to have the life that they're supposed to have, simply.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
When you're due for tire service, visit richlands.com for the location nearest you.
We'll give you a free flat tire repair on every tire we install. No questions asked. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're due for service.
Richlands.
Get the inside scoop on all things home improvement. Don't miss I Know a Girl Radio, hosted by Milwaukee's own Abby of Abby Windows and Exteriors. Listen in every Sunday at 11 a.m. only on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Big win for the rule of law in Waukesha County Circuit Court yesterday as Judge Michael Abrahamian issued an order prohibiting local clerks from curing absentee ballot certificates. Now, state law is remarkably clear on this, that in an absentee ballot, there's an envelope. The way that an absentee ballot works is you're mailed the ballot, it comes in an envelope. You are to fill out the ballot, cast your votes in front of a witness who then signs the ballot certificate, the envelope that the ballot goes in when you return it. And they say, I certify that I saw voter X fill out this ballot. They fill out their address and then they sign the ballot certificate. It's sent back. If there is any information missing from that ballot certificate, state law says, and I quote, if a municipal clerk receives an absentee ballot with an improperly completed certificate or with no certificate, the clerk may return the ballot to the elector inside the sealed envelope when an envelope is received, together with a new envelope if necessary, whenever time permits the elector to correct the defect and return the ballot within the period authorized. Got it? Statutes further say if a certificate is missing the address of a witness, the ballot may not be counted. Those two statutes taken together mean that if my witness, let's say it's producer Dave, witnesses me fill out my ballot, if he doesn't have his address on the ballot certificate, the clerk needs to send that ballot inside its envelope back to me, and I need to track down Dave and say, hey, fill out your thing correctly. The clerk is not authorized under state law to, quote, cure the ballot or fill in Dave's information without me or Dave ever actually knowing about this. The clerk gets to just sort of guess as to what Dave's address might be. In his ruling, Judge Abrahamian absolutely slammed the Wisconsin Elections Commission, which since 2016 has been offering guidance to clerks saying, you know what, you could just sort of ignore state law and you could fill out those ballot certificates yourself. You can cure the ballot so that the vote can be counted. The idea is that there simply won't be enough time for the ballot to be sent back to me to track down Dave, fix the ballot information on the certificate, and then send the ballot back in and have it counted in time for the election. So the Wisconsin Elections Commission, almost certainly understanding that since Democrats vote in much higher numbers by mail, this sort of guidance would benefit Democrats. Abrahamian's quote in this ruling is spectacular. It is a little wonder that proponents from all corners of the political spectrum are critical, cynical, and suspicious of how elections are managed and overseen when 3 unelected bureaucrats, the 3 Democrats on the Election Commission, can defy the legislature and declined to suspend guidance that the Joint Committee under its oversight authority has determined violates Wisconsin law. Over the summer, the Joint Committee on Rules and Regulations of the state legislature said, all right, Wisconsin Elections Commission, you can no longer issue this guidance that clerks can simply cure absentee ballot certificates. It's been long enough. You have to sort of violate the law. WEC, in response, holds a meeting and says, yeah, we're just going to sort of ignore the JCRAR. Abrahamian has ruled you can't do that. So what is the Wisconsin Elections Commission going to do? Of course, it has already announced that it is going to appeal Abrahamian's ruling because it believes it should still be able to violate state law. Folks, this isn't a close case in which it's, sort of some nuance of how the law reads. It is about as clear as it gets. If you don't have address information, if the ballot certificate is missing an address of a witness, if it's missing any information, you cannot count the ballot. Now, to which Democrats are, well, what about something like a zip code? If, let's say, our station is in Greenfield, the zip code is 53228. Let's say producer Dave fills out everything on the ballot certificate correctly, but he doesn't put the zip code on. Well, shouldn't a clerk just be able to fill in that zip code? No. According to state law, the clerk may not. There is a procedure in the law for doing this. It is sent back to me. I track down Dave. Dave fills out every bit of information that is legally required. I am so tired of corners being cut, and it's my very strong supposition that this is being done for partisan advantage. Why else is it only Democrats that are fighting like holy you-know-what to keep this unlawful guidance in place? If they did, it's simple math, folks. Democrats are something like 2/3 more likely to vote by mail. And then it's weird. We did the math on all of the ballots that were rejected in all of the various races. We had a massive increase in the number of absentee ballots that were cast. So it was unprecedented. We had almost an all mail-in election in 2020. It was just remarkable how many mail-in ballots. Would you believe that even though there were way more absentee ballots cast, including by people who had never before cast a mail-in ballot, the error rate dropped down to essentially zero? Every single one of those voters, including people who had never ever cast a ballot by mail before, did it exactly right. There were almost no ballots that were rejected. It's because the clerks were curing them at massively high levels in direct violation of state law. Well, Dan, Republicans never objected to this until now because it never really was a big deal because you had so few, relatively speaking, ballots cast by mail. It was only in 2020 when we just decided that mail-in ballots were going to be the way that we conduct elections going forward that people finally realized, hey, wait a second. Turns out the Wisconsin Elections Commission has once again gone rogue and just been providing erroneous, unlawful instruction to clerks. But at least for now, some semblance of order is restored. By the way, speaking of vote issues, Harry Waite of Hot Racine, Hot Wisconsin, Hot Cops, I don't know. For the 5 people that got that Arrested Development reference, thank you. He's in court. What does it say about our Justice Department in Wisconsin that Harry Waite is in Racine, right? And he's the guy who tried to expose the vulnerabilities of the myvote.wi.gov system by pretending to be Robin Voss and Corey Mason, the mayor of Racine, and requesting ballots in their name and having them sent other places. Well, the Racine County District Attorney's Office declined to prosecute him for vote fraud or identity theft or anything like that. The Justice Department swoops in. Josh Quall personally says, we are going to make an example out of Harry Waite. Now, clearly, he was doing this to prove a point. He was doing this to highlight the vulnerabilities. Now, I'm not saying he didn't commit crimes, because on its face, he certainly seems to have, and in fact, he admitted he committed crimes. But the Racine County Sheriff's Department declined to investigate the matter. The Racine County District Attorney's Office wasn't going to prosecute, so the state steps in. Now, this is in direct contrast to when the Racine County Sheriff's Department found widespread fraud at a nursing home in Mount Pleasant. Found very obviously staff members voting for nursing home residents who couldn't possibly have voted for themselves. There was no prosecution there by either the Racine County Sheriff's Department or the Call Justice Department. He said there was no widespread fraud in this nursing home at all. You notice what he's focused on. You notice the sort of prosecution that he wants to take up. All right, we're going to step aside for a break. Have no fear, though. We will be right back very shortly.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
If years of watching football has provided you with piercing insight on what separates winners from losers, then the Mark Belling Football Contest is your gridiron cup of tea. Every Thursday, a contestant will pick a game against a spread or the over-under number. Winners get to spike the bowl of football brilliance while also snaring a $100 cash card.
The Mark Belling Football Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac. Holiday Automotive, it's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
Dan O'Donnell here for my great friends at Mander Collision and Glass, which I've been recommending most highly for years because of their expertise, their professionalism, and above all, their customer service, which really sets them apart from pretty much every other body shop. But don't just take my word for it. Sarah says Mander was thorough, friendly, knowledgeable, and quick. Although you never want to have to use an auto body repair shop, I would absolutely recommend Mander. And whether it's body work, windshield repair, or car detailing, you'll get the same service Sarah got, guaranteed. You see, Mander is locally and family owned, so you're a person to them, not a number like you are to a national chain. And Mander now has 4 locations to serve you in Brookfield, Waukesha, Cedarburg, and Heartland. Start your repair today by visiting mandercollision.com and see why Mander truly is the best decision after a collision. The Dan O'Donnell Cruise is going to Alaska. Join me next summer as we discover Anchorage, Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, and Vancouver, plus scenic cruising in Hubbard Glacier, and the Inside Passage will leave you smiling ear to ear. Couples, families, singles, you're all welcome. We're going to have a blast on the Celebrity Millennium, where there's literally something for everyone. Find out more at cruise-tour.com. That's cruise-tour.com. It is This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the president and CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this, the week after Labor Day, is typically when markets really start moving. Oftentimes, Dave, we'll see what's become known as a September swoon.
That is true, Dan, and a lot of information is out right now. We saw all of the earnings reports, and they were relatively good, but now the earnings season is over. The markets will move to new information. The big story coming up is the Fed meeting on September 20th and 21st when they'll make their announcement. It's not a matter if they will raise interest rate, it is how much they will raise interest rates. Will it be 50 basis points or 75 or even 100 basis points to try to tamp down inflation? Because they have been late to the game.
Yeah, and this is the thing that is really weighing on investors' minds. Are we going to see rate hikes that could push the nation further into a recession?
That is exactly right. And their concern is that they're trying to get to a soft landing, trying to slow inflation down while keeping positive growth. Or does it cause a recession where we get negative growth again back-to-back quarters? So this is really a recipe for a choppy market over the next 6 months or so. Really important to go through your portfolio and make sure that you're positioned correctly. You can do that position by position by going through that, knowing what you own, why you own it, and how much you're paying for it.
And the place to do that, to get what we call a free wealth metric. It's a review of your portfolio by the people who know best. You just head to annexwealth.com For Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Dell Technologies' semi-annual sale has arrived, and it's time to upgrade to the latest business technology. Save big on laptops and desktops with Windows 11 Pro. Plus, get amazing deals on server, storage, and cloud solutions, as well as top work accessories, including docks, monitors, and more. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL for special business offers during our semi-annual sale.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
This going to surprise anyone? The royal family is rushed to be by the bedside of Queen Elizabeth, who is feared to be dying. Meghan Markle is not among them. Dave said the Queen would still kick her ass from her deathbed. Who do you think the Queen hated more, Meghan Markle or Diana? Gotta be Diana, right? You think Markle? Yeah. We will continue to monitor the situation out of Great Britain. Right now, it does seem like there's not a whole lot going on, but obviously, we'll continue to keep our eye on this throughout the broadcast day. And for those who don't like the fact that we have been sort of covering this story, just wait. If she passes away, this will be the biggest story in the world for a month, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, you think? Well, there are the funeral. Yeah, up until the funeral. Yeah, probably. Already I'm seeing tweets that it's racist if you care about the Queen, which is absolutely hilarious. Wesley Lowery, who is a reporter for, I believe he's with CBS News right now. He was with the Washington Post for a long time, and he's a social justice warrior. He quickly deleted this tweet. The death of a person seen as near deity by the white political ruling and media class, but who also was at one point the oppressive ruler of something like 30% of the global population, is going to provide an excellent example of the subjectivity of straight news reporting. He is aware that Queen Elizabeth took the throne after British independence, right? No, you don't think he's aware of that? The move toward the Commonwealth and all that. I'm taking a wild guess. Wes Lowery isn't the biggest history buff in the world. All right, NFL season kicks off tonight. Any big, bold predictions, Dave? The Packers will have a good year. Wow, that's a tough one. Yeah, I know. Some of these predictions are stupid. Dave says it's dumb. Oh, they're going to win 11 games. We're going to go week by week and we have no idea. For example, the biggest variable is injury. Did anyone up until about 2 days ago have any idea that their number one receiver, Alan Lazard, was in jeopardy of missing week 1? Dave said he did because it's his job. You shut up in there. He's such a know-it-all. Yeah, he got his ankle stepped on. My guess is he's going to be fine, but you have no idea. NFL season kicks off, as is tradition, tonight. Super Bowl champion LA Rams get to host, and they are going to be hosting the Buffalo Bills. Here's what I want to know. Are they going to be playing in the dark and turning the stadium heat up to 78 degrees to conserve energy, or do they get a pass? The irony was not lost on me that when Gavin Newsom made that announcement a couple of days ago that we all need to pitch in, they're in the middle of a heat wave, right? They're in the middle of a heat wave. What was Gavin Newsom wearing? He was wearing a sweater vest, or like one of those Marty McFly vests. meaning he was almost certainly in an air-conditioned room. There is zero chance that the governor is going to be sweating it out after 4 p.m. in 78-degree rooms at his governor's mansion. These are the questions I wonder. All right, out of time for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow with the Friday edition. How bizarre. All sorts of fun coming up tomorrow on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
News that's factual, fair,